Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show. I'm Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, and joining me today is James. What's going on, James?
Not much. Just tired. Gotta go to work in like a couple hours. But we are doing this because the trailer hit last night, and even though we said we would do it right after the trailer was done, if it ever came online, we realized 11 o'clock at night my time and 12 o'clock midnight John's time was probably not the best time for us to do a podcast, especially since we got a little thing called life
Yes, I'd
the
been
next day.
up. I had been up that day since 6 a.m. and I was tired because it was like, it's midnight. I've been awake since 6 a.m. My body is telling me to sleep now. But yes, we are bringing you a pretty special episode right now because this is an afternoon recording, which is actually quite rare for us, and also on Friday afternoon. Last week we mentioned that we would do a podcast like midweek if the trailer came out midweek. We'd just stop in do a quick show, do like a quick quote unquote reaction video to it. But since it came out on Thursday, we figured, hey, we'll just do the regular podcast a little bit earlier. So we're gonna start with trailer discussion today, but also later on, we will talk about clone conspiracy. Oh my god, that happened. That really did happen. But we want to get the good stuff first because we need to bring ourselves up. What goes up must come down. We will adhere to the laws of physics. But yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming released two trailers actually last night. An American domestic version and also an international version. Um, there's not really that big of a difference between the two trailers.
There's some.
Like
There's
there's some
a little
alternate
bit more of
footage.
the Tony, you're not an Avenger kind of stick that the trailer for the first that the domestic one didn't have, and then you got like a few more shots of Vulture.
Yeah, so it's like there's a few different like there's some footage like in the international one that isn't in the American one, but even still, like it's basically the same thing. It's not really much. There's not too much difference between them. But the trailer premiered last night on Jimmy Kimmel. Tom Holland came out and did this big stunt, and they released it. The basic premise of the trailer, I'm pretty sure if you're watching this episode, then you've already seen it. But for anyone who hasn't seen it, basically Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He's a high school kid who's got a crush on Liz Allen. His best friend is Ned Leeds, who the actor's name I'm forgetting. I'm sorry, I've forgotten that actor's
And
name.
like people pointing out, it's Ned in name only, and it's actually Miles's best friend from the old Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, they've come out and said that he's not Gonky. It's Ned Leeds, but
But everything about him is gonky, I guess.
I don't know. But
I don't read Ultimate, but I guess the whole part about when Ned drops all the Legos, that's almost panel for panel when Gonky found out that Miles was Spider-Man.
I've read those issues, but I'm blanking on that right now. But yeah, Ned Leeds is his best friend. Peter, there's a scene of Spider-Man stopping a bank robbery with guys who are wearing Avengers masks, and he's like, "You're not the real Avengers." So you see stuff like that. You see Tony being like a mentor figure to Peter, but Peter's kind of being, well, Peter's being a teenager and is rebelling against him because
He's being Anakin Skywalker from the prequel trilogies.
so like he's doing what teenagers do in rebelling against authority. And you also see Peter towards the end of the trailer. He's having trouble balancing his home life with his superhero life and stuff like that. So, and then of course the trailer ends with Spider-Man and Iron Man presumably going off to go do something. Who knows? I don't know. They're flying and swinging somewhere respectively. But also you get Vulture. You get a little look at Vulture. Not too good, but we see that he's wearing like a mask thing, and he actually kind of has almost kind of like a Darth Vader breathing effect. But yeah, we see a little bit of Vulture, and the international trailer includes a little bit of Shocker, just like a quick shot of him. So that's just a pretty simple overview of what the trailer consists of. But James, we're going to start with you. What do you think of the trailer? Are we feeling positive? Are we more excited for this movie now than we were 24 hours ago?
I don't want to say I'm more excited because there's some things about the trailer I kind of didn't like. But yeah, I thought it was a really good trailer though still. I thought it was really good. One thing that I don't like is somebody pointed out to me the song that they use in it. If you listen to the lyrics, it's all about being teenagers and hiding the fact that you're doing heavy drugs like cocaine and heroin, and
Well,
you're
that's
supposed about a
unfortunate.
secret identity.
That's unfortunate.
Because I went to YouTube to listen to it, and it's like the first lyric is about maybe one day I'll grow up and marry a supermodel. It's like, okay, that kind of fits, Mary Jane. Okay, that's kind of cool. And the next lyric is like, and then we'll snort up cocaine as we fuck all the stars, and it's like, okay, now you lost me. You lost me.
Okay, that's like, oh, maybe one day I'll grow up and marry the woman of my dreams, and then it takes a really dark turn
And then the
downwards.
rest of the song is all about hiding the fact you're doing heavy drugs, and I'm just like, what the fuck does that got to do with Spider-Man? like I brought this up on Range Board. Okay, maybe I'm spoiled because I grew up with the Raimi movies where, you say what you will, every song that was on the soundtrack had at least a little bit inspired by the movie. You can kind of say, listen to it, like especially Ordinary. It's pretty much just the Parker Luck. It's the theme song for the Parker Luck, pretty much, of a guy who can't catch his break because he has superpowers. So this song, it kind of like, you lost me, good day song. So now when I hear the song, when I rewatch the trailer, I keep on thinking, Peter Parker's on crack. But anyways, yeah, that. Another thing that kind of irked me was the whole fact that Tony is going to suit up. I just always kind of feel like it's a sole Spider-Man movie. You don't see Captain America dressing up in the first Iron Man movie. You don't see Thor dressing up in the first Daredevil Netflix series, It's about Spider-Man. I would kind of hope that it doesn't turn into, okay, here comes the Marvel team up, in the finale, where Tony has to, come in and help Peter save the day because he's a teenager. And so it's technically an Iron Man movie because Robert Downey, and I just don't hope that doesn't happen. I hope it is just like a rumor heard online that maybe that's the final shot of the movie, that after Peter takes down Vulture, Tony's like, okay, kid, you're an Avenger. Now we got to fly to the mansion together to do some Avenger stuff. Okay, wee! And that's how it ends, That's the final shot, I hope. I heard that rumor, maybe that could be it, and I hope that's true. But yeah, the rest of the trailer I really enjoyed. The bank robber moment it's really good. I love it how it's like Easter egg cameo of the 60s Avengers. If you look at the mask, they're like clearly like Kirby inspired versions of them, which makes me wonder, how does the MCU know about 60s versions of them when you look at the costumes that they have in the actual movies? Like, did Thor ever wear his helmet in, Earth, in Midgard? Because I know he wore it in the first Thor movie when he was in Asgard, but I don't think you ever saw him actually wear it on Earth. But still, maybe, I don't know, maybe he wore it one time to an Avenger thing that we never saw in the MCU. Yeah, I like that. I love the quipping of that scene. That's classic Spider-Man. That's very much Spider-Man. Hey, you're not the Avengers. I should have noticed your Hulk gave it away. Like, that's classic Spider-Man. I like the little Easter eggs. Like, you gotta catch, like, if you know from Peter's walking through the hallway and that guy kind of bumps into him. If you look on the mirror on the wall of all the faces of all these presidents and famous Americans, Howard Stark's one of them.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And another thing, if you like that, if you look in the science room, in the science classroom, when he's watching the video from Civil War, which brings the question, where the hell was that camera? But then again, you see that a lot. I mean, on Power Ranger fan, where they had viewing globes with that shit that happens every episode, so I'm not one to talk, but still, it's kind of weird. But if you look on, like, they got, like, these posters of all these famous, scientists. They got Einstein, they got Hawkins, but if you look at the one farthest to the left, it's Bruce Banner. It's Mark Ruffalo.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's, again, it's bringing it into the Marvel universe. I like how even when Tony's on the scene, there's the Hulk in the fucking science poster. It's like you're looking over and it's like, there's one I don't recognize. I'm saying, fuck it right now. That's MCU Reed Richards. Fuck it. Even though it doesn't fit because clearly a 40s from somebody from the 1800s, I don't care. He has the streaks haircut. I'm saying it's him.
All right, James, but any other thoughts?
Yeah, I like that. I like the suit. I don't like the look of the Vulture. It's another negative I have. I didn't like it, like, especially when I saw it in the concept art, and it looks like it's the same thing with the whole kind of hydroplane kind of propeller thing that's going on. I just don't really like that. One thing I do like is it's continuing the theme that I said what they always should have done with Spider-Man and other characters when they come to the MCU to explain how villains like Schultz and the Tinkerer are able to get all these high-tech, stuff that aren't, guys smart enough to work for Stark or anything like that. And that's what they did in that Avengers short film that they did, in one of the DVDs where it was like, oh, it's all Chikari stuff that the black market got a hands of. And I do like that you see that here, that the Shocker's propellers are Chikari tech, which is really cool. It's not just so much of, oh, Toombs used to work for Oscorp or Stark Industries, and that's how he got all this shit. It actually is. No, the black market, and they stole the fucking stuff from the Chikari invasion, so I like that. So again, it brings it all into the Marvel Universe, and I like that part about it. The high school stuff, I really like that. It really fits, like him being called a loser by Zendaya's character, whoever the fuck that is, not Mary Jane.
Michelle Gonzalez behaving badly.
Oh yeah, it's Michelle. Which I love. One review I saw, they go, "Oh, she's playing Michelle, and she kind of looks ugly here, but if you read the comics, she's a beautiful, badass detective who also was dating Peter Parker." And it's like, you know, where did you hear that from? She wasn't a detective. She was a corrupt lawyer trying to get her brother off for crimes he committed, and she wasn't his girlfriend. She was his abandoned, insane roommate that Peter wanted to get the fuck away from.
All right.
But anyways, yeah, you got him being called a loser. You got clearly like he's fawning over Liz and he can't ever get her. And then there's a blonde girl who walks by and everybody's pointing out that's Gwen.
Bullshit. They're not doing Gwen Stacy this soon after ASM 2.
I'm calling it right now. It's a swerve. It's a swerve. It's a bait and switch because it is. It's her walk when she's walking. You're like, is that a new top? No, but it's a new skirt. Are we weird for looking at her? Yeah, you're losers. If you look at the blonde chick, she's wearing the Gwen Stacy, the night Gwen Stacy died clothes. She's a blonde. She's wearing that. She has the black headband. She has the purple shirt and the black skirt. It's completely out of ASM 121. And I think it is a switch. I think it's going to be Peter and Ned getting the courage to ask them out on the date, and it's Sally. It's going to be like Spectacular where she blows them off.
All right.
So, yeah, that's going to be kind of cool. I'm surprised there was no shot of Flash with the high school moments. Like, not seeing him going to Puny Parker and push him down or something like that. But, yeah, so far it looks really good, and I'm really interested in how this movie turns out.
All right, my thoughts on this trailer. I think there's a lot to be positive about with this trailer. I'll admit that I've had a lot of trouble getting enthusiastic for this movie. I don't know why. It's just like...
Because it's not Andrew Garfield, so you hate your life?
No, James, that is not the reason. It's just like nothing that they've said about it up until now has really interested me that much. It's like, oh, hey, Spider-Man in the MCU. We've had 5 Spider-Man movies before this, so it's like how I'm like, what can you do to make this any different? But I'll be honest, this movie got me a little bit excited, or this trailer got me a little bit excited for this movie. I thought they got a lot right. I loved the scene at the beginning with Spider-Man and the bank robbers. I love that. Like James said, that's classic Spider-Man. Exactly how I'd expect him to react. I love how the first time you see him, he's just like leaning on the wall, like.
That was very out of Garfield. That's very Garfield in the car with the guy. Hey, if you're going to steal a car, not dressed like a car thief. That is very much what he did there. Which brings up another point of this. I love it online how so many people are like, thank God he quips. It's not like Sony movies. And it's like, did you not see Andrew Garfield? Like, seriously? He quips in the first 5 minutes of ASM2. I know not a lot of people saw that movie, but he does.
Yeah, so it's like, I love that. I love all that Spider-Man bank robber stuff. I'll admit that the high school stuff doesn't have me that interested. It is nice that they're using Liz Allen instead of a love interest that we've seen before. I do kind of wish, I hope that we see Mary Jane somewhere down the line, but, mixing it up a little.
There's a theory online about how MJ could be introduced.
Mixing it up a bit with Liz Allen, I approve of that. I think that's a good way to go. Something I thought was interesting is that in the scene where Ned discovers that Peter is Spider-Man, Peter apparently, I watched the trailer, and when he takes his suit off, he seems to just press the spider on his chest, and it just like decompresses. So it appears to be more of like a form-fitting suit, like a one-size-fits-all almost.
I took it more of like it enhances his muscles to make him look more heroic. And then when he hits the button, you see he's just Puny Parker underneath. I mean, he's built, he's got abs and stuff like that, but it's more of just, it enhances the feature. Like, Tony's like, I don't want people to know that you're a 15-year-old kid. I want them to think you're at least in your 20s.
Yeah, so it's like, I thought that was a pretty interesting concept. It was because it was like he hit the button and then the suit just like almost fell off of him. It was like, We never seen that
I
before.
talk about Ned because Ned seems to be the takeaway character from a lot of people on their reviews about how much they like it.
Ned Leeds, it's just like we didn't see that much of him. It's just like, oh yeah, he's the best friend character.
Most people don't, but here's the thing: he's the most talked about. But it's all people saying it's Gonky, but they're using Ned Leeds' name because they don't want it to be Miles because they're racist. I saw that so much today. It was unbelievable when you go on message boards or on comments. It's all they didn't want to put a black Spider-Man, so they're giving Peter Parker, you know, Miles' backstory. I mean, down to Gonky, and it's like it might have been like we want to use Ned Leeds in the movie, but we're not going to use the actual comic book origin of him being a douchebag who's still Peter Parker's high school girlfriend, even though he's in his 20s. That's kind of creepy. So what are we going to do now? Well, there's Gonky from the Ultimate books who was kind of like a best friend who wasn't Harry Osborn, and we could use it differently. Why don't we just call it him Ned? I mean, Ned was even Asian in a Spider-Man cartoon 10 years ago, so it's a race change that would actually kind of fit me with the fans. Okay, let's do that. That was probably it, people. It was no conspiracy to fuck Miles over, okay?
But yeah, I mean, Ned Leeds, he didn't really leave much of an impression on me. I'll just be honest with you there. Um, I like that they really do seem to understand the character of Spider-Man. I mean, we saw him in Civil War, but we didn't see him in the Spider-Man context. We saw him fighting with the Avengers. We saw him, except for the one stinger scene right at the end after the credits. At every scene he was in, he shared with at least one other Avenger. So here, seeing him in a more Spider-Man context, it really shows that they do have a good idea of who this character is, and I think that provides
And,
a lot
and
of good faith.
it kind of fits with the comics, in a weird way. Like, because Peter's always been kind of like the guy, when we reviewed Marvel Knights, he's always like, oh, I feel like I'm hanging with the cool kids. And he was kind of like that with GMS's run when he's a new Avenger, where he's always calling them boss, because he always kind of felt like, I'm just their employee, I'm not really an Avenger. But at the same time, he'd be like, I gotta show them, I'm just as good as them. That really fits with Peter Parker.
Yeah, so I mean, you even hear that line from Spider-Man. This is my chance to prove myself. So I like that.
Which, knowing the Parker luck, I bet you anything shit goes wrong. He's like, this is my chance to prove myself, and he gets people killed. It's all Spider-Man's fault. And Tony's like, dude, I told you to stand back. You know that's probably going to happen. It's the Parker luck. Something's going to happen.
And James, that provides me a pretty good segue because Tony's role in the movie is actually something I really want to discuss because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Tony's giving Spider-Man everything. Tony's making Spider-Man an incompetent hero because Spider-Man needs a mentor and Spider-Man
Oh, you mean like Dan Slott?
never
Dan
needed."
Slott, who clearly had that argument, hence why he did the whole Tony Stark storyline with Regent, because that was clearly just like, oh, you're making Miles and stuff because you think you're better than me, huh? Get it? Because Civil War's coming out and Tony's going to do it in the movie?
And so people are saying that Tony's sort of taking away from Spider-Man. I'll admit, like, I have never really had a problem with Tony
The
making.
web hit one I have problems with. If it turns out to just be Tony saying, oh, here's your gift to fight the Vulture. I made you a new suit. Because then it's kind of like, okay. But if it turns out to be something like maybe Peter, like earlier in the movie, mentions, I'm trying to fight this Vulture guy. I have this cool design I came up to, but on the tech, you help me make this suit. Can we add these web things, these web pit wings things on here? And Tony be like, oh, no, leave it to us. And then later at the end of the movie, when he realizes that Peter's the only one to do it, that's when you get, oh, did you get the suit? And he opens it up, and Tony made him a new one with it. Then it fits, because then that one line of dialogue says what people have been saying since Civil War. Peter's the Avenger. He's designing it. He's just passing it off to somebody else to actually build it, which actually happens in science. A lot of inventors don't actually build the shit that they make. They pass it off to a design team, and they actually, build it.
It's like I've never really had that big of a problem with Tony making the tech, and what this trailer seems to imply is that Tony is going to try to steer him in one direction, and Peter's going to go in another way. And I think what this is, I mean, we haven't seen this movie yet, so we don't know what's going to happen, but I have a lot of good faith that Spider-Man is still going to be the star and the ultimate hero of the story. And
I just want to say this: the Vulture and Shocker. When you think, the big Spider-Man villains, you think Doc Ock, you think the Green Goblin, you think Venom, you think Carnage, you think big heavy hitters, right? I love it though how it's like, no, you're okay. You can take down Steve Rogers and the Black Panther, and you can take down, Winter Soldier and Falcon and Scarlet and Wanda, this fucking Scarlet Witch, and Hawkeye with his bow, and Ant-Man and Giant Man. You can take those people down. But there's no fucking way we're letting you go after Vulture and Shocker. That's too much, man. Leave it to the Avengers.
yeah, but it's like I'm not really concerned about Tony's role in this film. I think they're going to do it justice. I think Peter's going to be okay. I mean, James, do you have any other thoughts on that particular topic?
Uh, the one thing that I made a joke about last night. I love the shot of the ferry of him, like, even though it's very Spider-Man 2, like everybody's pointing out online, that's still, it's kind of the whole Peter, he has to hold up the heavy thing that always happens. I mean, hell, Civil War did it too with him holding up the terminal, but uh it's a really cool shot. I mean, he's keeping our ship together at broken half Titanic style, which made me being a joke. It's like, oh, they're referencing the James Cameron Spider-Man script because this is like the Titanic and he's saving the boat. Because I'm pretty sure that's probably what James Cameron's script was before he's like, hey, let's take out Spider-Man. Let's just make it a movie about Titanic and a love story. That was my joke online because it's very much the ship's breaking in half like the Titanic, and he's like, not on my watch. Jack and Rose's hearts will go on and their love story will happen. They deserve to be together. Spider-Man. That's the film creepypasta that should be true. Not time traveling Jack Dawson, but time traveling Spider-Man who saves the boat. That's my headcanon now.
All right, but can we think of anything else that we need to discuss with the trailer? I mean, I think we've hit on all the major points.
Well, it's a trailer. It gave us a lot, but it didn't give us too much.
It's like it got us excited for this film. I mean, the movie's still like 7 months away, so it's like we're not going to be seeing this anytime soon. But
It did a trailer's job. It's what I said when the Power Ranger trailer hit, or when the Star Wars trailer all the Star Wars trailers were hitting last year. And so we're like, these trailers are not, they're good. They show us, but they suck because I want to see more. And it's like, that's the point. It's a tease. It's a trailer. It's supposed to make you want to see more. A trailer shouldn't be like other movies like Fan Four Stick and Transformers and Terminators that give away the whole fucking plot in a 3-minute trailer, you know?
or Superman, Batman.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. You shouldn't give away everything in a 3-minute trailer. Save some of your punches for the actual movie. And this trailer did that. You see little snippets of the high school, but like I said, besides for a few moments of the Zendaya character calling him loser and a kid bumping into him in the hallway, he kind of like he's a character no one pays attention to because he's nerdy Peter Parker. Besides that, you don't really get much of the high school moments. And according to what we hear in interviews, that's going to be like 80% of the movie. So that confirms it right there that we're not getting everything in the trailer.
All right, but overall, we're pretty positive about these trailers. I think that
I just want to know how he gets to Washington, D.C. I mean, the Washington Memorial jumping off that with the web pits is cool and all, but I want to know if it's going to be like a class field trip.
But yeah, overall, pretty positive about these trailers. They've definitely done their job, and they've heightened our anticipation for the movie. So, James, any final words before we tackle this? Any last words?
Uh, uh, my dad said that Aunt May is still hot for her age because he's had a crush on her 20 years ago, Marissa Tomei.
Okay, that was creepy.
I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel now to find stuff to talk about because I don't want to talk about Clone Conspiracy.
We don't want to talk about this. Oh my god! But let's just get it over with. We know we're gonna do it eventually, so let's just get it over with. All right, Amazing Spider-Man: Clone Conspiracy #3 came out this week. Oh God, help me. Dan Slott writer, Jim Chung penciler, John Dell inker, Justin Ponser color artist, VC's Joe Caramagna letterer, Gabriel Delato cover artist, assistant editor Allison Stock, associate editor Devin Lewis, editor Nick Lowe, Spider-Man created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Oh my gosh. That's the creative team behind this issue. For those of you who have forgotten where we were at the end of Clone Conspiracy #2, basically, quote unquote Jackal, we'll get to that, showed Peter around New U. He showed him that he's brought back all the villains that have ever died under Spider-Man's watch. He brought back a bunch of supporting cast members, and he said, "I've granted your wish. No one dies." And then Spider-Gwen, for no discernible reason at all, showed up in the middle of the story and started making shit make absolutely no sense. And she and Peter are currently escaping through the ventilation system of New U. And that's where the issue picks up. So Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen, who is dressed up like the 616 Gwen Stacy, they're crawling through the ventilation tunnels. Faster! You hear that scratching and you hear that scritching and scratching back there? I know that sound. That's the lizard crawling up after us. You know, back on Earth 65, my Earth, you were the lizard. I mean, that's weird, right? Real food for thought. We should stop and tell him that while he's eating us alive. And so the lizard's going like, I'm not the lizard. I'm Kurt Connors trapped in the lizard's body. And Spider-Man's like, sucks to
I
be
heard this since the 60s. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he's like, sucks to be you, bro. Boom! And so they take him out, they web him up. And so,
No, I'm your friend, Peter. No, we're back in the MCU. Get away, Mark Webb series. Get away, Mark Webb series. That's what it is.
alright, but, so Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen get away. Captain Stacy's clone takes the clones of a bunch of villains outside to hunt for them, and he contacts the Prowler clone, who says that they've lost.
That's very heroic for the Jackal to do that stuff.
Who says that they've lost Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen, but it turns out, as we learn later, Prowler just sent them on a wild goose chase in order to let Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen get away because he's actually still with them, even though that's never been hinted at before, but what the fuck ever.
It's because they can't have Hobby be a villain.
Because he's getting his own ongoing, but yeah. So, back at Horizon University, they deduce that since Kane is infected with the carrion virus, but he's not
Clone generation. You can't just rename it the carrion virus because you love continuity, Dan Slott.
Since he's infected with that, but he's not contagious, he may hold the key to a cure. So they start investigating that, and they also decide to call the police because, you know, there's a possible, you know, epidemic that's about to break out. But it turns out that the police chief that they call is in on the New U conspiracy because she was actually someone who was saved by the procedure. So she outs them to the quote-unquote Jackal. And so Jackal goes... It's a quote-unquote Jackal. I want to emphasize this. Sends Rhino and Electro or Spectra or whatever they're calling her now. And he sends them over to basically blow shit up. Because, you know, that's what villains do. But
he's the hero. He doesn't know he's the villain.
He's an antagonist, James, but we'll get to this at the end. So yeah, he
bullshit. That's what he is.
He sends them over to go retrieve or to go deal with the situation. Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen, they realize that. Well, actually, they receive news that Horizon is under attack, so they head over to try and stop it. But Rhino and Electro, female Electro, get away with the Gwen Stacy clone and Anna Maria. Let's see, and Kane. That's who they also get away with. Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen show up on a spider cycle, and they take a minute to shit on the whole premise of the spider cycle. Then, probably in my favorite scene of the book, Max Modell's like, yeah, Anna and Kane and the Gwen clone got taken, and it turns out there's a cop in on this conspiracy, so we don't know exactly what the situation is. And then Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, shows up out of nowhere. You know, he was in the backup story of the Free Comic Book Day issue and ASM 19. Peter Parker's had like no interaction with him in the main story. If you're just reading this story and you had no idea that Kingpin was in a backup, he just shows up out of nowhere. And Kingpin's like, yeah, that guy brought back my wife and screwed with me, so here's his location. Go take him down, Spider-Man. You owe me after this. And Spider-Man's like, bitch, please, you owe me after this. And so he takes off on the spider cycle, and Spider-Gwen goes off to try to rescue Anna Maria and Kane. Spider-Man intercepts, quote-unquote, Jackal, receiving a shipment, and they fight a little bit. And, quote-unquote, Jackal surprises Peter with his strength. No, that's not possible. You've never been this strong, this fast. How? I'm no stronger or faster than you are. But you're just some crazy mad scientist in a stupid red suit. Please, Peter, this is darker than red. It's more of a scarlet. Dun dun dun. It's me, Peter. Ben Riley, your brother from another blood cell. Ben? It can't be you. It's the brown hair, right? I let my roots grow out. You're dead. You dissolved.
Bullshit.
You.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Okay, I'll get to that because a lot of other people, including myself, had called out that line right there as fucking bullshit.
You dissolved. I told you. The new you process is more advanced than cloning. It can restore anyone with all their memories intact. I remember it burning away in your arms. If I can come back from that, imagine the possibilities with your help. With Parker Industries resources, we could go worldwide. You never want anyone to die. I'm offering you something better. Everyone gets to live. Anyone we've ever lost, no matter how long ago. No one is off limits. Even him. The man in here is my gift to you. Join me, and together we'll bring back Uncle Ben. Dun dun
Get it? Because
dun.
all those hashtags since Brand New Day, when people were like, bring back Ben in association for Ben Riley, they're twisting that now to be Ben Riley wanting to bring back Uncle Ben. And like, fuck you.
All right, James, go. Go for it, James. Let's hear it.
Join me in this chant that you hear sometimes in pro wrestling events when the evil villain is doing his evil speech before imagining he bragging how great he is, but he's not, and he's cheated to win. Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
So you're telling me that Dan Slott got tired of committing character assassination on real characters who are still alive, like a Black Cat, like a Peter Parker, character assassination on them to fit his stories. Now he has to literally dig up a dead clone to put character. Fans of the 90s who like the Clone Saga, yeah, not a lot of people do. The Clone Saga is considered one of the worst comic book storylines of all time, but Ben Riley is always considered like the silver lining in that really, really dark cloud. People like him, but he's dead. Let's just leave. Let's sleep when dogs lie. The Clone Saga is over with. It's been 20 years. Move on. Not Dan Slott. Let's fuck over those fans that like Ben Riley, drag out his corpse, and make him the Jackal, because that's great storytelling. And don't give me that bullshit of Dan Slott said that he's not the villain, he's the antagonist, he's a hero who doesn't see him as acting like a villain. Because listen to anybody. George Lucas, when he describes Darth Vader, when they describe Batman villains in DC interviews, every supervillain, they never... Look at Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. They never see themselves as a villain. They always see themselves as the hero. But know what they are? They're still the villain.
They're screwed up in the head.
He's still bringing back supervillains and letting them try to capture Spider-Man and his Gwen Stacy. Okay, I get it, Slot. You wanted to throw us off and make us think that it's Warren, but okay, Ben did love Gwen. I mean, that's how in the 70s Peter decided who was the clone and was the original. I love Mary Jane, and the clone obviously was still in love with Gwen. So I'm moving on with MJ, and I'm going to bang her, and hopefully no other comic book writers would still try to force Gwen down our throats, which did happen. But you know what I mean, though? It was like, okay, I'm moving on. I'm with Mary Jane. I love her. The clone was still in love with Gwen. But then when you get to the 90s Clone Saga, the clone started to date Janine. He started, he even dated Betty. He would still mention, like, oh, I feel guilty for Gwen Stacy's death because those memories are in him, but he's not in love with Gwen. So why the fuck is Gwen going? Why is Ben going, I gotta get my Gwen back. She's mine. If he's the hero, Ben wouldn't be acting that. Ben would be like, dude, I brought back Gwen. I saw Peter Williams thinks it was awesome. Okay, that sucks. But, maybe she'll explain to him that everything's cool and awesome. No, it's all shady. With him being all creepy over Gwen. That doesn't fit Ben Riley. Nothing about this is Ben Riley when you read it until you get to the final. That's why I love this. Because this is the one thing I love. Because it's clone. You always got the built-in retcon. In my headcanon, I don't care what Dan Slott says. As soon as I got to reading it, I said, Fuck it, it's another clone. It's another clone. It's another clone that thinks it's Ben. Or it's Jackal in another clone body saying it's Ben Riley. It's not the real Ben Riley. The real Ben Riley clone degenerated. And before you say, well, how would the clone know that? Well, if it's a clone of Peter Parker that's from After's Clone Saga, it remembers that Peter was there when Ben dissolved in Peter's arms. So my retcon is it's another clone. Just another clone. It's not Ben. And here's another reason why that. You remember how he says earlier in the issue when Peter goes, wait, it's you, I don't recognize, how did I not recognize you? He goes, maybe it's the brown hair and it's not blonde no more. I let my original roots grow out. Didn't just 2 issues before they state that all clones make you brought back to your pure self? That means no piercing, no tattoos, and no hair dye? Why would his hair need to grow back the blonde if he clone degenerated and came back somehow?
Oh my god. This is terrible.
This brings up a question. Who fucking brought back Ben then? It's obviously going to be Miles. It's either going to be Miles or because the next arc is a Osborn tie-in, it's probably Osborn because it's a tie-in in him being the mastermind in the original Clone Saga still. So he's a mastermind of this one too. But who brought back Miles? I mean, who brought back Ben? Because right here, I got the last appearance of Ben Riley from the 90s Clone Saga, Revelations Part 4, from Spider-Man, Agilis, or Peter Parker at the time, because this is right when they changed the title of it from Agilis to Peter Parker Spider-Man, because they wanted to tell you, hey, it's not the clone no more. Go back, you can read again. Come back. Yeah. In this comic, which brought back the Green Goblin, first fighting him back, actually. You don't know how this comic ends? You know, it ends with the clone degeneration. You know, you got that. You got the whole, you know, clone degeneration, you know, Ben Riley fading into nothingness. You know, you got that. That goes on. But you know what also happens at the end of this issue? Peter, when he says, rest easy, brother, he spreads his ashes all over New York City. So, Jackal or Osborn or whoever the fuck was the original maybe founder knew you. How the hell did they find every little trace of Ben Riley in New York City?
This is just so, oh my god.
Like, John, this is gonna get dark, but follow me. Let's say one day, John, somebody close to you dies, like your wife, and you get her cremated, and her last will and testament was to have her ashes spread all over the city. And you do that because it's romantic and that's what she wanted. You just spread it all over her favorite park, her favorite, you know, lake or ocean she wanted to go to, where she grew, the lawn where she grew up, and the home she grew up in, you know, all the stuff. You know, she asked you to do this, and then some asshole decides they're gonna bring everybody back, and then they meticulously somehow find every piece of dirt that is now spread with your loved one's ashes, and somehow uses that to bring them back from the dead.
What the hell?
Is it the most creepiest thing you ever heard?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around that concept. I really am. I'm just like,
it's right in here. When you somehow take something from the Clone Saga and make it not make sense now, that's a new level of stupidity from somebody. When you make this, and you take something from this, the Clone Saga, and you go, you know what, I can make that worse. When your philosophy going into something is, you know what, I can make that worse. That's not a good thing.
And James, let's not forget, what is this revelation? This whole Ben Riley is the Jackal revelation. How long has he really been the Jackal?
Well, according to Dan Slott, it's since Spider Island.
Yes.
Everything he's been doing has been evil.
All right, here's the thing. Once James told me about this, I knew there was something I had to do. So I went into my cabinet. I pulled out my back issues. Here is Amazing Spider-Man number 668, Spider Island Part 2, written by Slott. Parker, I never get tired of looking at that face, no matter how many times I've cloned it, masked it, unmasked it, liquefied it, or worn it like a little hat. It's like, okay, that's not Ben Riley dialogue. That is the creepiest thing I think I've ever heard. And then, of course, his next appearance in the Alpha storyline, Amazing Spider-Man 693, again, written by Slott. And what do we have here? Why, it's one of my old students, late to class again. You'll have to get notes from someone else. I'm not starting over. Oh, how can I stay mad at my star pupil? Especially when you made all of this possible, Mr. Parker. This failure of yours has topped all of my successes. Ah, the student has become the master. Except for the part where my spider sons took you out on the playground or took you out on the playground and schooled you. What's up with that? Does that sound like Ben Reilly to you, James?
Nope.
And then it's just like, let's read some dialogue from earlier in Clone Conspiracy number 3. Let's see. Let's find a nice piece of dialogue. Remember when being a mad scientist was about science? Now it's all meetings, meetings, meetings. This is what you get when you try to remake the world into a better place. And let's see. Let's find some other dialogue. You want me to raise your father from the grave, right? So greedy. I've given you your foster daughter back and your second wife. What? Want your first wife back too? What? What the fuck? And this brings up a larger issue. Why would Ben Reilly pretend to be the Jackal? Why?
He hates the Jackal.
Why would Ben Reilly pretend to be the Jackal?
He hates the Jackal because he hates his existence.
What the hell? This makes...
Why would Ben Reilly even want to come back? He wanted people... He was on a suicide mission his whole life. He couldn't commit suicide because the Peter Parker power and responsibility part of him was always stopping him to, but he still would tell people, why didn't you take your chance to kill me?
I'll just move into my thoughts here because what is wrong with, like, what the heck? This makes no sense. Like, we were promised a comic that would make us angrier than 700, than One More Day. This hasn't... I'll admit, this doesn't really make me angry. This makes me facepalm. Like, what? This is the dumbest thing I think I've read in a Spider-Man comic since One More Day. Because, what? Ben Reilly is not the Jackal. Ben Reilly is, like, I hope that James's theory about this being a clone is true. Because it's like, this is clearly Ben Reilly in name only. This is not the character. Like, I'm no Ben Reilly expert, but he's never been the kind of guy who would pull this shit off.
When he dies, his dying words to Peter is, tell my niece, meaning Baby May, that never happened, you know. Because it's supposed to be bittersweet, tell my niece about her Uncle Ben, but nobody will be told about Ben Reilly now because she's dead, too. But, it's like, here's his dying words from Ben Reilly. Tell my niece about her Uncle Ben, and then he clone degenerates. That same guy would not be the guy who would dig up Uncle Ben's body.
It's such bullshit. It makes no sense.
The only thing about this that makes sense is now we get why he wouldn't want to bring back Doc Ock, because he probably was like, fuck him. Because Ben Reilly was like, fuck him. He's like, I can bring back Bart Hamilton. He was no Fred. He started talking about wanting people's shit, but okay, that was kind of weird, but... You know, that's different. But yeah, I guess that kind of explains why he didn't want Doc Ock's body. But at the same time, when he did get the body, like somebody else pointed, the way he talks, like, good, Otto, you killed a little bit of Peter that was left in you. I'm Ben Reilly. I'm doing it for good means. Wait, what?
No, you're not. Like, just no, you're not. It's Amazing Spider-Man 22, which is supposed to come out in 2 weeks, is supposed to explain this shit. I'm curious as to how they're going to try and justify this. Because you really can't.
You can't. This just sucks. Slott said this is going to cause a lightning round of hate, and it did. But it's not so much the hate that he wanted. He wanted One More Day, 700, fan breaking the internet, giving him death threats. That's what he wanted. He didn't get that. Instead, he just got a lot of fuck you, and people are starting to move on with their life with this trailer for the new movie.
Yeah, it's like, thank God the trailer came out this week.
And I think it's because the clones. I think it's because, like, a lot of people like me are saying, As soon as Dan Slott, 100 years from now, finally, gets off the book, all it's going to take is the next storyline is for some way to mention, oh, it was a clone. That wasn't the real Ben Riley. The real Ben Riley degenerated and had his ashes spreaded in this. That was just another clone. That was all. Just another clone. That's all it takes. That's why I'm not pissed. I don't like it because it's a shitty comic. That's always been my one thing on One More Day. I'm over it. I'm not angry at a comic no more. I went back because on Black Friday, or not Black Friday, what's that called? Cyber Monday? MyComicShop.com had a deal on Spider-Man books, and I ordered just to collect my collection again. I'm like, okay, I can order because it's real cheap. So One More Day issues. That way, the issues I burned when I was 17, they may kind of make me feel stupid now. I can have back in my collection the actual books. Okay, that proves that I'm over One More Day. I still think, but that's because of a collection point of view. I'm over it, but I still think it's a shitty comic. I'm not angry at this because there's the built-in retcon of, oh, this is another clone. But I still think this was a shitty comic because the whole point is people wanted Ben Riley back, so he brought it. It's that monkey paw. Somebody else said this online. It's, you want Ben back? You want Ben back? He's a villain now because I'm writing the book. There you go. Fuck you. That's what it feels like.
I'll admit there are some good moments in this book. I like the moment where Anna Maria gets to look stupid because it's like she's become one of the most problematic characters in the book.
How does Art Modell not put two and two together when a Peter clone takes off his mask in front of him? I get it. He's Kane. He has the whole Kane degeneration back on his face. He looks like old school classic Kane, which really makes me want to see his reaction when he finds out it's Ben Riley.
But anyway, it's like I
would love it too if it turns out that this is the real Ben Riley and Ben really just finally snap out like, oh my god, I was an asshole this whole time. I'm sorry, Peter. I just want to do better, but I am turning into a jackal. Power and responsibility. I gotta do better. Oh, that reminds me. Hey, look, here's Kane back. Riley! And he's just running at Ben. He's just trying to punch Ben in the face. And Ben's like, not again. And Peter's like, oh, I guess it's the 90s all over again. Do. That's all, folks. And that's how Clone Conspiracy ends.
Anyway, and
then Mary Jane walks out over. Peter, remember that one night stand we had when I came back to town with Tony? I'm pregnant. Uh-oh. Like, it's completely just retraining the Clone Saga now. And then when it's like that SpongeBob joke where, like, the gorilla runs off with the horse. But only that's going to be comic fans, like, after they read that final panel. And they're like, I quit. And they walk away.
But anyway, Anna Maria has become one of the most problematic characters in this book because, like, she's the voice of reason who makes everyone else look stupid, and when you make everyone else look stupid, you just become an annoying character, and you make...
I thought that way back during Volume 3, where she sits down Peter and tells her how Otto was the superior Spider-Man and how he did so much things better than him, and she wouldn't listen to the simple fact of, he committed identity theft and attempted murder on me. He technically raped you by lying about who he was when he slept with you. But you want to tell me again how he's superior? But look at all the cool things he did that you're not able to do. And it's and this is kind of more of that.
Yeah, so it's
Anna Maria trying to, which makes me think it always makes you think that maybe there's a little bit of her that's going to turn evil with Otto, but I don't think they're going to do that because Slott, she's a peculiar Slott. He's not going to do that to her. I think it's just going to be she's going to show up. She's going to try to be the voice of reason. Otto, I know him. I can get through on him, and then clearly he kills her. Like, you're the one piece of goodness left in me. Okay, you're dead. I think that's going to happen at the end of this with her.
But I was glad to see her actually kind of look stupid for once. So it's like, yeah, you know what? You've been the person who's been making everyone else look bad for the longest time. Now you get to look bad. So yeah, I kind of like that. Other pros, I love that scene between Spider-Man and the Kingpin, where Kingpin's like, you owe me, and Spider-Man's like, bitch, please, you're gonna owe me after this. I love that. Like, that was perfect.
I get it. You're gonna owe me. You try to kill my aunt during Back in Black. We're not even, you asshole.
So it's like that was a good Spider-Man moment. I really enjoyed that. Other than that, yeah, there's not much else to say about this book. The Ben Riley thing is just terrible. It's just damn awful. So James, what do you give this book? Thumbs up? Sideways? Down?
I give it a middle finger down. And you want to know, and if you don't understand what that means, Dan Slott, let me turn up the volume for you.
All right, I give this comic a thumbs down as well because it's not terrible until the last few pages where it's just
Somebody else said this on another message board with the song, and because of YouTube copyright laws, I'm not gonna sing the actual lyrics to it, but I'm gonna come up with my own lyrics. And this is all I felt while I stare at Revelations part 4. Hello, color black, my old pal. That's how it felt. It completely. It's like you take the final issue of the Clone Saga and go, I can make it better, much better. And it's like, no, it's you digged up a dead. You're literally in a storyline called Dead No More. Digged up a dead body, just to commit character assassination on him. And there's only 2 ways this could end. Ben Reilly becomes a villain in the new Jackal going forward. That's going to piss off everybody like a black hat. Or Ben's going to die at the end of this. He's going to be dead again, so it was completely a waste of time to bring him back now. Oh, and the fact that you can say you killed Ben Reilly. You brought him back and killed him. If those are your only 2 options for doing a story, that's your obvious reasons why not to do it.
all right. We're done with that. It's just we've been dreading that for so long. It's like we expected that to be terrible. Oh,
Ben Reilly, who called himself Mayday Parker's Uncle Ben when he died, would not have done this shit.
We expected it to be
Ben
terrible.
Reilly, who, without hesitation, back in the lost years, prevented a man from putting a gun in his own mouth, would not have done this shit. The Ben Reilly, who saved a little kid who was about to get hit by a truck on his way back to New York City in the build-up to the original Clone Saga, would not have done this shit. The Ben Reilly, who a couple times in the original Clone Saga had a big slap Peter back in reality with his whole bullshit I am the Spider phase, would not have done this shit. The Ben Reilly, who sacrificed himself and took the glider to the back for Peter Parker, repeat after me, would not do this shit.
Would not do this shit. We expected this comic to be terrible, and those expectations were met. So, James,
it's like I said, I said this 100 times, but it's like he's deliberately trying to say, oh, I'm going to become the greatest Spider-Man writer of all time by doing something that no one thought is possible, making the Clone Saga suck more. Yeah. Because that's what it feels like. It really feels like, oh, I'm reinventing Peter Parker, so he's my Spider-Man. I've been on the book longer than anybody else, so I can say that. Now I'm reinventing the Clone Saga. So now when you take the Clone Saga, I can say, no, I ended that. That's what it feels like. It's like, what's next? He's going to put the black suit back on Peter? And then he can say that he ended that? Because we know that a Venom 150 is going to be the first big Spider-Man Venom fight in like 10 years. I guess that's how they're promoting it.
all right.
Is Slott going to use that to be a jumping on point to put Peter back in the black suit? So he can say he ended the story about the black suit and the symbiote? Like, what is it? Like fuck, what was Spider-Man #1 in all the movies, like Spider-Man 3 and the comic books and all that stuff that said it ended way back then? No, I ended it because I put the black suit back on him for like a month or 2? What is it?
I'm exhausted.
Because he's probably thinking it. He's like, I can get the alien symbiote back to rebond with Peter, and then I can say I ended it. Like that's what it feels like when you read that. Like, what other classic Spider-Man moments you're going to do, and you're going to say that you're going to do it just so you can say you're the one who ended it. Like, are you going to do like One More Day Part 3, just to have Peter and MJ get back together, get married, and get on their marriage again, just so you can say you did it too? I mean, like, what is your end game here, Slott? When you had to remake you had to reboot the Clone Saga, what is your end game?
All right, but that's going to conclude our review of Clone Conspiracy 3. That's also going to conclude this episode of the podcast. So, James, any final shout-outs or words for the listeners before we sign off?
Shout out to the fact that before this show, and John got to watch it, I go into orientation for my new prep job, cook. I'm finally getting out of grocery stores and fast food. I'm actually moving up now in the corp. I can actually say no longer, I have a job. I can now say I have a career, so that's awesome.
He's a chef.
And, yeah, so that's awesome. So yay me, that's pretty badass and cool. I'm really proud of myself. And if anybody's watching from my other job, I guess this is how you, before I can send you guys my letter, I guess this is how you find out me saying in my 2 weeks. So, yay me. No,
That'd be awkward.
I'm kidding. Nobody from my work watches this. But if I did with some of my rants, I probably would have got fired already for my language. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got that. Really good. Shout out to, I guess, technically the Ninja Steel trailer, because that also came online today. I watched it a few times. Not really much to say. It's mostly what happens when people are saying that this trailer is bland and boring and doesn't show much. It's the first trailer to the new season of Power Rangers. It's always going to be the same thing, which is Sentai footage, because they don't have a lot of new American footage yet. So like, to complain about the fact that it's all Sentai footage, it's kind of moot point when almost every teaser trailer for a new Power Ranger season is all Sentai footage. And for the new shots we got here, I kind of like it. The new morpher they designed for the Ninja Steel Rangers that's different than the Sentai footage. It looks pretty cool. There's an Easter egg, because they said because this season is the 25th anniversary season, thanks to it being, the whole 2 years equals one series kind of thing. Now we went from Megaforce, Dino Charge, and now we're to the 25th anniversary, where Megaforce was the 20th. So you kind of got where they said, we're going to do Easter eggs for the anniversary this year, and you kind of get that where the Ninja Steel Rangers are fighting a villain from Overdrive. So it's like, what's going on there? Is he back from the dead? Is it another alien from his race? What's going on there? Or is it just them reusing a monster suit and saying, fuck it, I don't care. That looks like it could be pretty cool, so yeah. But Dino Charge's finale still fucking sucked.
All right, but my shout out this week: Marvel Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, John Watts, Kevin Feige, Tom Holland, Dan Slott, Jim Chung. Thank you for Spider-Man. Michael Keaton. Yes.
Oh, there's one thing I forgot. Donald Glover's in the trailer.
Where? You
know the part where Shocker is showing off the gun and he shoots it real quickly in the trailer? The black guy standing next to him, that's Donald Glover.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that. Oh, man, I feel like I should have caught that.
Yeah, it's at 1 minute and 53 seconds if you want to go back on like a timestamp or something like that. Watch it.
But, yeah, shout out to everyone who was involved with the trailer. Really good. Really good stuff. Other shout out, this week I learned that Supergirl is not coming back till January 16th, which sucks because that show was so great.
I thought you were going to say it got canceled from another network.
No, that show can never get canceled. Oh my god, Supergirl is such a good show.
Can you imagine your reaction if this becomes like a running gag for you? Can't believe my shock when I found that Supergirl got canceled from CW, but it's going to be put on Netflix for season 3 1 year later. I can't believe Netflix canceled it, but it's going to be put on a Cartoon Network for season 4 1 year later. Can't believe it got canceled on Cartoon Network, so it was put on Lifetime for season 5. Can't believe Lifetime canceled a show called Supergirl, so it's being put on HBO. I can't believe HBO actually canceled the show, but now it's being put on.
No, Supergirl's not going to get canceled. Supergirl's a great show. I really enjoy it. So it sucks that we have to wait till January 16th for another episode, but you know what?
I just don't care for Supergirl. It just comes off as I don't know. I try to watch a few episodes and I try to get in with the new season. It's just something. I've just never been a fan of Supergirl.
I love the show. You're just a hater of everything that's good, James.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't go down the sexist route that everybody goes down when you say you don't like Supergirl.
No, James, you just hate everything that's good. You just have bad taste. But yeah, Supergirl, really good show.
If I had bad taste, John, I would be loving this new comic.
No comment. But yeah, January 16th, Supergirl returns. Something else. Shout out this week, Defenders on Netflix. They released a set picture that got me really excited because it's Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock teaming up together, and they are my two favorite characters. Like not in the entire MCU, but like they are two of my favorite characters in the MCU. So it's like
I like to think that I pointed this out way back during Daredevil season 1, but I'm kind of updating right now. It's kind of, this is really kind of funny when you think about it. You look at the trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming, and it's really upbeat and happy. It's a kid in high school staring at the popular girl in the lunchroom, and he has a crush on, and he's a happy teenage superhero fighting crime in Queens. Well, over on the other side of the city in Hell's Kitchen. Matt Murdock's beating the fuck out of a child molester, probably.
And Jessica Jones is tracking down some like cheating husband or whatever.
And
Whatever.
in Harlem,
Whatever.
you got Luke Cage going, damn, as he beats up some gangbanger. Like, it's the same universe, and I love that how all this stuff's going on in every other borough. But in Manhattan, it's beautiful and bright and sunny, and Avengers, and in Queens, Spider-Man's there to save them. And then you go to every other borough, it's like, no, you're fucked. You're stuck with Daredevil and Luke Cage.
And it's like Jessica Jones is trying to deal with some mind controlling asshole. But yeah, it's like Jessica Jones and Daredevil.
I said, if you're gonna name drop finally, the the Netflix shows, Spider-Man's the cure to use, because he does have that connection with everybody. Okay, Jessica Jones you can't really do now because she's not the high school classmate of Peter Parker no more. Obviously, this timeline doesn't match up. But so her is kind of limited. But with Luke Cage, all the times that him and Spider-Man teamed up, I mean, they were Avengers together, and of course Daredevil, all the times that they teamed up, like it's always been kind of like the Batman, Superman. You're the dark, brooding hero, and I'm the light, that witty one, and somehow we mesh well good together. So it'd be kind of cool if, like, especially they got the Bugle in here, if Jonah goes like, make me how it has a line like, we need another report like Yurik used to be before he died. Like, that'd be kind of cool line, tie it into, they mentioned Yurik, so they tie it in there. And you say he used to work for the Bugle, so that ties in he worked for the Bugle. Maybe he left because of Jonah and then came to that newspaper in Daredevil Season 1. Like, it could be kind of nice to, like, connecting the bridge. Or even just a one-off line about, we're able to get pictures of this goddamn devil in Hell's Kitchen, but we can't get one of this web-slinging freak. Get the kid who does the web videos of the Spider-Man. Bring him in. Maybe he's got photos of him. And that's how Peter Parker gets introduced to, the Bugle. Like, that could be, I would like to see something like that happen. Like, use Spider-Man to bridge that gap.
But yeah, Daredevil and Jessica Jones teaming up in the set photo, that has me so excited because they are my two favorite characters in the entire Netflix portion of the universe, along with Claire Temple by Rosario Dawson. Because, like,
my favorite is Luke Cage, because here's pretty much all dialogue from all his not in Jessica Jones, but in Luke Cage. Here gets some of Luke Cage's dialogue in the actual TV show. I don't care, but in a good way. It's always like he's like I'm tired of buying new clothes, and he's even like there's even some references to Heroes from Hire where he's like fuck you to it. Like the person goes, oh, you saved my life, here I'll pay you. He's like, I'm not for hire. Get it?
All right, but that's going to do it for this episode. So thank you for everyone who tuned in. We will be back next week to talk about Renew Your Vows number 2, because that comes out.
You mean the real good Spider-Man storyline?
Yeah, the good Spider-Man book. So
the Spider-Man book that's probably going to get Dan Slott fired, because Marvel's even going to see like, wow, this one's getting critically acclaimed and actually selling, and it is in the top 20 where Amazing Spider-Man's not, and people are shitting on it. Maybe we should bring back Gary Conway for a run for Amazing Spider-Man? Yeah.
All right, but thank you for everyone who tuned in. So Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show, episode 115, comes to a close. We'll see you next week. Have a good day.